What makes a video game character bad? Well, all sorts of factors go into that. Maybe it's just a matter of morality. Maybe they're a weaker party member in an RPG or a low-tier pick in a fighting game. Or maybe it's because they're Josh Brown. There are all kinds of criteria. Still, other characters are just simply annoying. Ashley Graham's continuous banshee howls of "Leon, help!" in Resident Evil 4 did nothing to endear her to the player, and neither did Navi's repeated exhortations to listen in The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. In both characters' defense though, they were pretty well on the money design-wise. Bad characters and characters with bad visual designs aren't necessarily the same thing. That's not to say that bad designs can't end up being truly immersion-breaking though. There have been some right stinkers over the years, some having been developed in poor taste, and others because the character designers were too busy being horny on main TM instead of just reading the room. So in the spirit of staring at a video game character and having that puzzled but why Ryan Reynolds look nailed down, I'm Ewan, this is WhatCulture Gaming, and here are 8 character designs that ruined video games. Number 8. Crash Bandicoot. Crash Mind over Mutant. By 2008, longtime fans of the Crash Bandicoot series had a darn solid idea of what the fuzzy orange marsupial looked like. After all, the original trilogy offered some of the most beloved and technically solid platforming action anywhere on the PS1. The little guy had become a household name and had quite a reputation to uphold as a result. Sadly, after Crash Bandicoot 3 Warped and Crash Team Racing, he never really reached those heights again. Crash of the Titans and Crash Mind over Mutant both updated the Bandicoot model, which is always a perilous thing to do. If there's one thing players don't take kindly to, it's a heavy-handed revamp to a super popular design. This new stylized furball failed to strike a chord with many, and became emblematic of Crash's edgy teenage years. Number 7. Spyro the Dragon, Skylanders. Being a spin-off of the Spyro the Dragon series, it was inevitable that the scaly little purple legend himself would appear prominently in Skylanders. True enough, he serves as the team's leader in the absence of Master Eon, making him a crucial member of the crew. Sadly, though, this isn't the Spyro as nostalgic fans remember him. Again, those players who grew up with this PlayStation legend have a special place in their hearts for him. They remember him as he was. Spyro was a huge part of Skylanders' appeal, so it was crucial that they represented him accurately in the game itself. Where, then, did this little anti-Spyro abomination actually come from? The design brief seemed to have been to make Spyro more threatening and more draconic? Draconic? Yeah? Perhaps I can see the reasoning behind this, but that voice, those scales, his all-around sinister-looking nature. Far from the lovable little dragon in training from the original series, this take on Spyro looks more like the hideous love child of Barney the Dinosaur and Gollum from Lord of the Rings, just sitting there awkwardly, making heavy breathing noises while all the other Spyro designs look on in pure horror. It's okay, OG Spyro, he can't hurt you anymore. Number 6. Chris Redfield, Resident Evil 5. As we all know, the Resident Evil franchise experienced one heck of a paradigm shift on Resident Evil's 4 release. After the game's success, the following 2 releases continued a trend towards third-person shooter sensibilities. Who needs slow, atmospheric survival horror when you can simply blast your way through all monsters with a huge array of silly weapons? Less Alone in the Dark, more Commando, or to be more accurate, Commando Director's Cut. Now Arnold Schwarzenegger has even more darn guns, both shooting guns and those thunderous biceps he uses to lay waste to an entire forest at the beginning of the film. Resident Evil 4 may have seen Leon S. Kennedy suplexing his foes so hard that their heads exploded on the ground, but that was nothing compared to our muscular friend Chris Redfield. The iconic co-star of the original game has clearly been working out, because he suddenly has monstrous ham-like arms with a design that's so loud that Commando's chainmail-wearing villain Bennett is struggling to be heard. Yes, that's 2 Commando references. I have Commando on the brain. Commando, Commando, Commando. It's a good film, watch it. Look at Arnold Schwarzenegger gets ice cream in his nose, it's really fun. Well, anyway, as the Resident Evil games tend to be, tone-wise, some of Chris's feats of strength throughout the title are utterly absurd. Number 5. Shadow the Hedgehog. Look, we can all appreciate Shadow the Hedgehog. We really can. A bit of a dark and edgy vibe never hurt anyone. Just ask anyone who had an emo phase between 2006 and 2009, guilty as charged. As all those players who immediately opt for Link's black costume with the red eyes in Super Smash Bros., which is everybody will tell you. You'll notice though that we specified a bit of an edgy vibe. When Shadow's at his dark and brooding anti-hero best, he's exhibiting just the right amount. In his own game, sadly, he was clearly trying much too hard. You can tell just by looking at him. While 2005 Shadow the Hedgehog deserves praise for its replayability, there are over 300 different routes to take throughout the game depending on mission choices the player makes, and bold genre blending, some of these decisions just don't pay off. The gun soldiers, the third-person shooter elements, the firearm Shadow totes, and cheesy lines he spouts throughout, I totally get that he's meant as an anti-hero foil to Sonic himself, but this characterization in the game went way over the top. Number 4. Bomberman Act 0. If you're of a certain age, you've almost certainly had some experience with Bomberman. The long-running franchise made its debut in the 1980s, and the core formula has remained largely unchanged ever since. The key concept is to gradually destroy parts of a maze with your bombs, with a later focus on multiplayer, reaching your friends with your bombs and immolating them in a loving yet often rage-inducing way. This popular party game was expanded upon with all kinds of silly rules, modes, and concepts along the way, but has always been defined by the cartoony, adorable nature of it all. Most importantly, of Bomberman himself. Just look at him, strutting his stuff out. Look at him, he's so cute. Sadly, though, this is another instantly recognizable character who has been subject to an entirely unrecognizable edgy redesign. 2006's Bomberman Act 0 took everything fans knew and loved about the cutesy franchise and regurgitated 17 tons of sci-fi drama all over it. While it played in a remarkably similar fashion, the futuristic and super serious vibes just didn't gel with the concept at all. Throw in its technical problems, excessive time to load, and bland repetitive presentation, and you've got a real mess of a Bomberman game. Number 3. Cole McGrath, Infamous 2. Fans of the original came to know and love Cole McGrath, a young man given unique powers after an explosion rocks Empire City. Depending on the moral choices the player makes over the course of the game, McGrath can become a hero, a bit of an anti-hero, or quite the villain. Either way, players became very attached to this unique protagonist, being as satisfying to play as he was to see develop on screen. For the sequel though, Sucker Punch rejigged his design, giving him more of a lived-in action star look. The version of the character originally shown off to fans at E3 2010 did not go down well at all, to the extent that the team were seemingly forced to relent and rework him again. The final Cole scene in Infamous 2 is one of 3 different versions of him the team went through. Number 2. Quiet. Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain. Metal Gear Solid maestro Hideo Kojima has never been afraid of a little controversy, of stepping way the heck off the beaten track whenever and wherever he can. While he was at the helm of the series, it was well known for tempering its super serious plots and 3-month-long codex conversations with a little silliness. Kojima's eccentricity was always at the forefront, giving us priceless moments like that endless ladder climb to nowhere in Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater. Later in the series, though, he'd take that penchant for wackiness a little too far. Metal Gear Solid 5 The Phantom Pain courted controversy for the character of Quiet and the whole male gaziness of her outfit and just general depiction. We later learn that Quiet's design is the way it is because she was treated by the parasite, the one that covers, after sustaining terrible injuries. She drinks and photosynthesizes through her skin, hence that one notorious scene where she dances in the rain like Gene Kelly with Venom Snake. Also, they explain all of this while you stare at her in the shower. What a weird series. And number 1, Sexy Shelob, Middle-earth Shadow of War. Oh god, needless to say, the world and lore of The Lord of the Rings is some of the deepest and most intriguing in all of literature. The sheer depth and breadth of this world, its backstory and the fascinating beings within it is mind-boggling. Nobody, not even superfans, can come remotely close to knowing everything there is to know about Middle-earth. It's a wonder Tolkien did himself. Having said that though, we all know the basics. Hobbits, for instance, are tiny, adorable creatures with feet hairy enough to serve as inbuilt slippers. And Gandalf has the most glorious wizard beard of all time. Shelob, meanwhile, is a gigantic, horrifying spider thing. What is Shelob not? A human woman. Still, Middle-earth Shadow of War doesn't seem to have gotten that memo, instead taking the Australian term "I'm not here to f*** spiders to a whole other level entirely. In the game, Shelob is able to transform at will into an attractive human woman with dark hair and darker robes. Studio Monolith have explained that these shape-shifting shenanigans came about as a way of expressing the duality between Shelob and Galadriel, but really this is just a bad example of everyone being horny on main. I'm not gonna judge you if you're horny for the weird Spider-Woman thing, okay, maybe a little, but this was a mega dose of cringe that only ended up making the ill-fated sequel more embarrassing. And that was our list on 10 character designs that ruin video games. Are there any that we missed? Let us know in the comments below, and please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Remember, you can find more content like this at whatculture.com/gaming, and more of me on Twitter at HumanRuinsThings. That's all for now though. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you next time. Bye!